Just give it a few minutes before you start.
So you can tell me if it goes off live, right? If it's buffers.
It hasn't started yet.
It says low network connection.
Uh-oh. So maybe we should turn everything off. Do you have everything off? Your
Yeah.
iPad, your
Yeah,
computer?
yeah.
My phone's still on though, right? Yeah.
So right now it's recording. You can just start. I think it plays back.
You see anything, Lily?
Not yet.
Oh no. Okay. Number one streaming disaster.
You might as well just keep painting.
You sure? Do you have anything else on, hun?
No,
that we
she-
can turn off?
She has her Wi-Fi turned off. It's okay. It's recording. It'll post it to them.
That's not great then. Okay. I have no idea if anyone's there or not. I don't know if this is working because we have a storm raging outside and our internet is kind of going terribly. I wonder if I should get Lily to come over here and just turn her phone off, just check.
No, she's on data.
Okay, well, I'm going to start coloring and hoping that people can see this. I have no idea if they can or not.
Yeah, I'm on it now.
Can you see me on there? Okay. I'm starting with greens. Let's see. How am I doing my buffering?
Lily, there's no painting yet where Lily's seeing.
But it could be because our bars, like reception, is only 2. So like that's what that is.
You can add just power through all I will see now.
So, sweetie, why don't you come over here and just don't even, yeah. And we'll just see if we get anything. Okay. Okay, I have no idea if this is working or not, but I'm going to forge ahead and we'll at least show a recording of it if you can't see what I'm doing.
Watching.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm starting with greens, and even if you're coloring along with me or you're just watching, I always use more than one color in every little space. So if you think of a leaf as a couple of spaces, I would use maybe a couple of greens and a yellow. So if you have a couple of colored pencils or a couple of markers, I really encourage overlapping, and that's how you get things to stay out of the flat world and sort of bring them into a three-dimensional world, and just give them a lot of life. So right now, I'm painting in the tulip leaves. I'm going to speed up here because I'm talking too much. And you can see I've just put a nice green in there, but now I'm taking a yellow and I'm going over top of my green. And then this part here, I'm going to use a little bit lighter green, just put it along the shadow here, just so that it lifts a little bit. And you can do that with crayons or markers or anything. You can go in and change the shade. And you see how I have this sort of half dark, half light thing happening here? Then that's giving my leaf a little bit of shape. So far I'm using the same shades of green. I will switch it up in a minute so that I'm not always using one shade of green. However, if that's what you have, you just go for it. So I'm going to speed up a little. So you see even in the stem, I'm using a dark green, and then I'm adding a little bit of yellow to it. Ooh, went outside the line, but that's okay. I'm going to put a little bit more in. Okay, now I'm going to change to a different green. So I'm down here in the bottom wing, and I'm using kind of a blue-green down here. Just a second, we'll see if it shows up on the camera as being different. It might not. We'll take a peek. The main thing too is just to have some fun, and you don't even have to, your leaves don't even have to be green. You can actually do reverse. You can change the shades of everything. You can make turquoise leaves. You can have green petals. That's a great thing about art. You can really play, and there's no rules. And I would love to see what you would come up with, because you know we all sort of stay in our comfort zones. I try and get outside of them, but it's not always easy. Now I'm switching to a different green. I'm just playing with these greens first to see if I can show you some differentiation between the different plants. So here I am using, this is like a forest green I'm using now. And I'm going to go and switch to my yellow. Once again, if you have markers, get in there and shade and try, like go along the seam of the leaf, with a dark and then go along the edge with your lighter color on both sides, and that'll help pop it. I'll just show a little bit of forest here. It's much easier for me because I'm doing, I'm painting, of course, and spreading very easily and cleanly. But if you, markers are actually really similar to this, and especially on the scale where you're working on, you should be able to fill this in fairly quickly. So now we're going, I'm doing a nice little forest, a nice little forest leaf here. And what this is what's really fun is even if you make mistakes, I will make mistakes, that's just will happen. Then I get to try and turn them into something else, and that's okay too. Sometimes my mistakes are the best part of my painting. So, and you can see I've got little drops of green happening here and there. I haven't actually decided what any color of anything is. I'm literally making it up as I go, just having some fun with the different shades. And let's see, and then these are sort of in my interpretive little berries here. I'm throwing in some forest green in here. I'm doing a lot of the greens just before I put all those juicy colors in. They're the fun part. Now I've got a lot of yellow on my brush. You could actually use a lighter color. See these little vines and things?
Anne says, "Hi Holly, I'm here. You're coming in and out, but that's okay. I'm so happy to see you."
Oh, thanks, Anne. Yeah, I'm surprised we're even working. I know there were some power outages. I'm sure you were among them in Halifax. And if you're trying, and you know, if you can't see a lot of this, it is recording, and I will definitely put a version of this up on my website. And anybody watching, don't feel trapped. Pop in and out if you like. Just come back and you can see how far we got. I'm going to be working fairly quickly here so that you're not too bored while you're hanging around. Here we go. Put some more forest. So once again, you can see the different greens. You're going to start noticing them showing up. So these little bluebells, I'm going to call them bluebells because I think I'm going to paint them blue. I'm keeping those stems just a little bit lighter, just so that they separate themselves from the other greens in my painting. And once again, if something goes wrong, that's okay. I can make mistakes. Here we go. So I'm going to do this up here. A lot of times drawing and painting, I just make it up as I go. I rarely have a big master plan. I probably should, unless I'm doing commission work. I sort of just wing it. I find sometimes if I plan too much, it makes it too tight, and I get uptight about how I'm painting it. So if I just relax and just go with the flow, and I can start seeing colors in my head. And I know some of you will experiment and go outside of comfort zones here, and I would love to see that because I must admit I do have little safe places I like to play. So I still, like I said, I haven't got figured out yet the background color, but that can be anything. Okay, I'm gonna put a little bit of green here, and then maybe we'll just throw some color in there for fun, just to make this pop up and make it look a little juicier. So I've got some nice tulips. We have beautiful red tulips in our yard. Well, we don't have them yet, but they'll be here. So I'm going to use some nice red and pop it in here. So I go dark along the edges first, and then I'm going to grab another color. In this case, I'm going to grab my yellow, and I'm going to extend my color with the yellow. And this looks great with markers especially, or pencil crayons if you want to do a little bit of shading and have some fun. Reds and yellows are great. Yellow's actually a great color to highlight, or white if you like. It's just a different look. You can also use a nice blue if you want to go into some shadows. This is all fairly light, and I'll show you how I would do a shadow. So here I have my tulip. It's looking kind of fluffy and nice and yellow and red. If I want to go in, I can take I've got a tiny bit of blue in my brush, and I can just go along a seam like that where that petal might overlap. And you can do this with crayons or markers as well. And just to give it a little bit of lift, get that top petal lifting up there. And I can even throw a little bit in this little section here. Once again, I'm winging it because I'm not looking at flowers. So these are the flowers in my mind. So I've got that nice red flower. So I've got this beautiful sort of a peony-esque thing. So I'm going to mix a few colors in here. I'm going to use some reds. Let's see. And then I'm going to put a little bit of pink in here. It's hard to tell, but it's like a very hot pink. Put it in here too. And then I use some water and pull out some of the lighter shades with water, which if you're using crayons or pencil crayons or markers, you want to use your white, of course, to do that. Just to keep it in the pink, my pink world here. Throw a little bits of red in here, and then throw a little bits of pink on the other sides. There we go. It's kind of nice because we're just coloring in beautiful spring picture. And the great thing is you can follow and do pinks and reds and colors I am, but you don't have to. You can do anything you want to do. I encourage that. So if you feel like you're not sure, just wing it. See what you come up with. There's a nice little buttercup right here, but it doesn't have to be a buttercup. It can be a violet. It could be just a made up little blue flower. There we go. So I have a few of those around. So I think I have another one down here somewhere. Well, maybe I only did one buttercup. Yeah, okay. What I will do is I have this lovely daffodil happening up here. So I'm going to put some yellow in that. I think I might even throw a little bit of red, just a little bit in the shadowy spots. You can make it very orange if you want. But I'm going to do this. You see I just got those little tiny bits in. Now I'm going to throw in a couple of different yellows. Try and get them before they dry so I can get some depth in my flower. There I am, putting this through, and this. And now we need some of the brighter yellow to kind of lift it. So I'm going to try and lift the edges.
So we have Donna says, I wonder if it is slow bandwidth. Yes, it is.
Yes, it's terrible. I'm sorry. I'm trying so hard. It was good all day.
And then from Ann H. Mott, we have a heart, a butterfly, and a heart.
Aw, thank you, Anne. Yeah, it's very frustrating living in a rural area. It's great living in a rural area, first of all. There's lots of benefits to that because we have all this countryside around us that we can get out in nature every day, and it's lovely. But we also, technology-wise, we suffer a little bit out here trying to get that bandwidth. So I'm sorry about that. That's very frustrating. It's frustrating for me. We turned everything off in the whole house to see if we could get it, and this wind is not helping. So I'm putting a little bits of red. I'm working down in this area now. Going to put in, I'm making it a little bit more orangey. Throw in some yellows. And if you aren't getting a good connection, I'm sorry about that, but this is going to be recorded, so you'll be able to play it back if you want, and at a faster speed and not have to watch as I tool along here. And we'll see what we can do about the bandwidth if we can get it working a little bit better.
I think it's good. Lots of hearts.
There we go. Okay, so you can see some tulips, some little, we have 2 daffodils. I'm going to throw in a little bit of their stems now. Here we go. There's a stem for this daffodil. And I'm kind of double doing it at the same time, just going back and forth here. And then I'm going to grab some yellow and fill in my little daffodil stem. And here's another one. And feel free to, pop in and out, come back at the end if you don't want to wait around and watch this. But if you're coloring along with me, please, if you have a question, just ask. Lily's actually manning the phone and can read to me if you have anything you're wondering, and she can ask me and I can answer. So while I'm still painting, I don't have to look up at the same time. No, I will. There, I'll say hello. I think, can you see me now? There I go. So now I've got my tulips done. Oh, I've got another tulip down here. I'm being very conservative with my painting. I'm sticking with reds and yellows, the colors of spring, but you do not have to. And in fact, I encourage you to go rogue and paint any color you want. These can be turquoise.
We have Linda Fuller says, absolutely beautiful, Holly. Thanks for doing this. Smiley face and hearts and a painting palette.
Thanks, Linda. I hope you're coloring, Linda. I hope you're creating some stuff too. And I threw yellow in this one. So now I'm going to have to put a little bit up here to balance that out. So I'm going to throw a little bit in there, balance that guy out. So now I've got my flowers coming. Oh, I have to do my nice red tulip. This is a fairly simple drawing and composition for me. I like to go really crazy and busy. I thought starting out it would be nice if we had something that everybody could see clearly what the image is. Sometimes mine look like puzzles, and it's hard to tell when I'm actually painting till they're all done. So I think this was a good choice for first one. Plus, I like the idea of spring, just spring on the wings of this butterfly. It's sort of like what we're all hoping and waiting for, especially on a windy, cold, rainy day like today. Throw a little bit of blue in here just to kind of separate that. There we go. Let's give a little bit of depth to that flower. Right there, okay. So now we have so many greens. Now, still have some other colors we can put in the flowers, but I'm going to throw in a little bit more. I'm going to try a different green. So let's see, how about, this is a very blue-green. I'm putting it in these stems here, and it's almost there. It's got like almost a turquoise, which I've mixed in with it. There you go. So anytime you go to color anything or paint, think about any other color that relates to that color. So if you're using reds, try and find all the reds in your palette and maybe a highlight, like a yellow or a white and a blue or red, for the dark, or purple. So, and then whenever little space you're coloring in, try and use those, and your piece will just look like it has so much more life. And I myself am being very safe with this painting. I probably should be a little bit more daring, and I don't know if I would do that with all of you watching in case I went crazy here, but I think I'm staying in a safe zone, but that doesn't mean you have to. Once again, I keep reiterating that, but I think that's important. Okay, so I'm going to put some little buttercup leaves in here. Let's speed up a little bit, see how fast I can paint this thing in, so you don't have to be stuck online. You can start seeing it all coming about. I'm putting a little bit more yellow. It's spreading into the background. I think it's okay. I'll decide what color that might influence the color I end up having to use back there, but that's okay too. Okay, a little bit of blue green up here to separate from these. A lot of times I'm trying to balance out. I'm almost squinting while I paint, sort of getting an overall feeling of where things need to come forward and go back. I'm really just having fun making stuff up. So there, see, I've got little bleeds happening here because I'm putting too much in my brush, working a little too fast, but I don't want you to have to hang on forever to watch this come about. So I'm speeding it up a little bit. So I've got a little bit of leaf here. Grab some more water and give those little highlights. There we go. Little stem for that flower. How are we doing? Oh, some more green down here because these, I remember I was going the lighter green on the berries. And I've got this rogue leaf down here. These little curly cues. I'll fill those in with a little bit lighter green to make them pop. Okay, that's coming along. Here we go. I'm going to try something, if you can hear this, I hope you can. I'm going to try something soon, maybe in an afternoon, where I stretch some silk and then I ask you things for me to draw and kind of we create something together. It would be great if you have a young person around. We can kind of turn it into a story. I'll advertise that a little bit later, but I'm hoping we have more bandwidth in the day. It seems the nights get a little rough around here for us to put things out there. So I'm going to try some daytime stuff. So if you have some kids who are bored and want to get online, and I'll probably show them how to draw and paint something. But I see it as for adults as well. Like I think we can have some fun as adults and help us kind of enjoy this time as much as possible. And a lot of that is just finding joyful or happy things to fill our thoughts. And painting certainly makes me happy. I hope color, and I hope even if you don't like to paint, you can at least enjoy this.
Linda Fuller says, I am creating thanks to your inspiration, and Alan's too.
Oh,
Smiley face
great.
hearts.
Anything, if you color in this butterfly or do any artwork during this time, we would love to see it. Please send it to me. And if you have any positive messages you can put on there with your coloring. We want to just sort of pass some joy around. It is a rough time. A lot of people are really struggling. And so we're searching for joy every day and joyful things and things to be grateful for. And I know it's not always easy. but it's all there. It really is, and we're very fortunate to live in Nova Scotia, Canada. We're fortunate to live in such a beautiful province, and I know a lot of you can still get out in nature, even if it's just your backyard, which we try and do every day, which really helps. Even if you can just sit on your deck or sit out on your doorstep, just breathe in the air. Even on the rainy days, today we took our dog up into the woods. He didn't mind it. We got a little bit wet, but it just feels great just to have some fresh air on you. So here I've painted in these little bluebells. I've got bluebells here, a little bit more purple I put in here, a little spot there. I'm going to put down here. So what I'm doing is I'm kind of taking a purple. I think this is purple. All my colors look black when I have them in containers. Oh, it looks like a little blue, so I'll do this. So I've got a little bit of darker at the top, just like this. And then I do this at the bottom. See how I'm just kind of where it goes inside. And then I'm picking a lighter color, turquoise, to do on the outside. You know, when you make things up, it's actually, you know, you think it'd be easier because you don't have to copy something, but sometimes it's hard because you have to imagine them in your brain. Well, what does this look like? And that's why a lot of times I say when I go to safe colors or colors I know work, that's because I'm making it up. So sometimes I'll force myself out of that, and I'll just say to Alan, my guy there, or my daughter, and just say, what color would you put back here if I'm not doing it? And of course, they almost always say orange, so I don't think it's worked too well for me, but I'm always hopeful they're going to tell me a color. Yeah, it's mostly your father, not you, in fairness. But sometimes orange works. I was actually looking at this thinking, gosh, this would be beautiful with some orange wings. Part of me wants to do a very pale blue, just to see everything kind of take shape and have a kind of a vintagey look. Okay, we're almost getting there. Look at that. We've got some nice green stems left. I've got a little blue on my brush. I just left it there. I'll throw a little bit more in there. I'm trying to see. Do you see any green lily? Can you see anything I haven't done? Sometimes it's hard when I'm on top of it.
I don't see anything.
How about some suggestions for these berries? I've got all these little poppy berries around. I haven't used any color. I haven't really gone purple, have I?
Yeah,
I can do some purple. If you've got another suggestion, I'm open to hear another color. There I'm throwing in some little purple spots, but there can be more than one berry color. What do you think? Anything? Oh, here, look at this. Got this gorgeous iris down here. Forgot about the iris. I can just throw in a couple of purples. So I've got two, like a hot pink and a purple. And then I'll put a little bit more purple in there. I'm just overlapping. Remember I told you same thing. If you have purple crayons or purple markers, use more than one purple in there. Blend them together. Here I am just going, I'm putting little highlights on the ends and on the top, the places where light might hit, but I'm literally making it up. And yours doesn't have to do that. So you do your thing, whatever feels right for you. Throw a little bit more dark in here just to give it a little shape. And blend it a bit because it's a little splotchy, okay? And I see it has a little bit of stain in there. I've got to put a little yellow on. Okay, so back to my other berries. Oh, I've got a real bleed going on there. I'll have to think about what to do with that. I think what I might have to do is draw another berry or something. So there's some little purples down here. Oh, I know. How about we break it up with some hot pink up here? Just get some of that purple, dark purple out of there. There we are. And we'll try another little bit of pink. I think I got pink here. Down this corner. See, I've always thought about balancing. You go up, balance it down with the top. So if you do a hot pink only one spot, it will pop out. Now, if you want to pop out, great. But if you don't, then try and blend it all over so that you can have little spaces where that color will catch your eye or the person viewing the painting. Now, I've got this little blob right here. I'm thinking I'm just going to start, I think I'm going to just try and start some background and see what happens. So I'm going to start with some blue, dark blue around it. And what I've got is I've got this really light blue here. And I'm going to blend it in with my little blob there and hope that that covers it up. There, look at that. I think might not have succeeded, but might have. We'll see. Now look at this, is a nice blue. See, that could have, if I'd done an orange, I think that would also look beautiful. But this blue is just so fresh with all these colors. I'm gonna throw it down around this corner. And look at that. Oh, lovely. It's really coming along. So that gives you an idea of what that's gonna look like. And all these other little bleeders that are coming out through the leaves, they're not really bothering me. They're kind of just little highlighting the leaves, so I'm okay with those. If they were bigger, they might bother me. This little spot still, so I'm gonna smudge it out, see if I can get as much of that purple blend in as I can. There, and then pull it up under there. There we go. And I'll pull some in over here too. Look how fast this is coming along. Coming along really fast. Okay, and you got nice. Now, your butterfly could have, like, you could have a beautiful, you could just leave it white, you could paint it, you could do black marker all around the colors. That would look really stunning. You could color in like a dark color, like a dark green or dark blue, and that would make all these colors pop. They're sort of setting in my space, but you could really have some fun with that. Sometimes I do a little bit of, like, I'll take a little, let's see, a little purple, let's say down here, I'm already putting it in, where I'm going to put the light blue, and then I'm going to put the light blue in over top, just so I get a little bit of variance in the shade, so that it's not just flat there. So you can sort of see how it gives it a little bit of layering effect, so that's kind of nice. There we go. So here we are here. And I've been thinking about the background. I noticed I have a big yellow blob there that was not intended. I believe I dripped on my silk when I was reaching over. That's okay. Mistakes are okay. All right. So here we are, putting a little bit more blue in here. And there we go. So you can sort of see it coming along. Now I think what I'll do too is, probably a little boring watching me paint all this background in. What I'll do is I'll go to finish the middle part, and then I can go and finish that on my own. Okay, let me just finish this little bit. It's addictive. Once you get going, you want to get everything in there that you can. But that soft blue, it does feel like spring to me, but so would a soft green. Black would feel like an Easter egg, a Ukrainian Easter egg, if you had a nice black wings behind this. Even a beautiful brown would be another gorgeous choice. There's so many choices when it comes to coloring and painting. That's what I love. It's endless, especially when you're making stuff up. So I've got a little bit there. I'm just going to finish this bottom wing. And I think I'm going to throw a little bit more purple in, just for along the bottom, for the tip of it here. And then just to blend it in so that it's not just all flat. Go in between here. Throw in some purple in here. Let's take it off my brush. There we are. A little bit more. And so you could do this too. You could shade your whole background of the wing. You could add lots of colors in. You can shade it all up however you like. There you go. Look at that. And don't be afraid of color. It's great. I use very little white or water. I love color. I love to saturate almost everything I paint. Doesn't mean you have to, but it's just, it's something, if you're brave, often you'll be happy with the results. So there we have that. The other thing I'm going to do in the next little while, I'm going to release some coloring sheets that every few days there'll be a new coloring sheet. You can just print them off, and I'll just put them out there. They'll be free. They'll be always different, probably a little bit more detailed than this one. I'm going to try some younger ones for kids too, with a little bit bigger images, so that they can, mine tend to be very detailed, and I know it's harder for little people because there's so many little details to paint in and draw in, color in. So I'm going to put a combination of ones up, and please just download them, share them, use them as you wish, and just try and have some fun. And when it gets really yucky outside, like today was one of those days, it's a good day to color, and you can just have some fun and see what you can do. I'll have bees and all sorts of nature represented there, but then also some real fun, whimsical scenes, maybe with mermaids and things like that. And if you have a request, you can let me know what you would like to color. And you probably, if you go online, you can see what some of my work looks like. I have a lot of it ready to go that you can actually get to color it in yourself. There, oh, almost finished this wing. Doing the marathon, I'm almost done. Okay, so there we've got one side. So now I have to paint, I'm gonna paint the body and I can paint the other wing in. You might not want to watch all of this. So you get a little feeling of it. See how I've got this purple in here is helping me. I'm gonna go a little dark on that stem too. It's helping me lift this wing up above, which is kind of nice. So I've got this body. I think I'm going to mostly use a black with some shading. So I'm gonna do a little bit of black, like this. And then I'm gonna grab a little bit of purple and add it on the top, just so that it's not just a black blob, but I've actually got a little bit of shading in there. It's very subtle, but I can do that here too. So I've got a little black on the sides. And you can do this once again with markers, crayons. You can totally play like this. Have some fun with that. Look at that. And see, just that gives that a little bit of lift. Now I'm gonna put a little bit of black in here and here. And here we are. There. And a little bit more purple. So I'm giving him nice, see how I'm going from the dark and just throwing another color in, and it's kind of giving those little ridges of a bug body. There's all kinds of little tiny tricks, and now he's got a little bit of shape to him. He's not just a little flat bug. And then maybe in that center, I'll put a real dark spot in there. And I think I'll give him little black eyes too. It's kind of cute. There we are. And then in the center part, I think I'll take a different color, maybe a little turquoise, and then just fill that in like that. A little bit through there too. So there, so I've got his body painted. I'm going to go over here and just do a little bit of, there's some purple in there first, and here comes the blue, because I want that wing to lift up a little bit so that's not just sitting and they look too even. And the butterfly is my butterfly is almost complete. I hope that some of you are coloring it, and you don't have to. Look, this is just to kind of bring a little bit of color to your day. There's no expectation. I'm just happy that some of you tuned in to take a peek and have some fun with me. This is the joy of my life, getting to do this, getting to wake up and paint every day, and the fact that I get to share it is a very wonderful thing. Okay, so almost some blue here. I'm gonna go over in this corner. I'm trying to paint quickly. I'm thinking it's probably pretty boring watching all this part go in, but that's okay. And down here, I've got a little bit of bleed, so I'll throw in some more purple. I'll just do some little dashes in here so that I have something to blend. Throw in some blue, just for the variation again, so we just don't have that flat blue wing. Same thing with you. If you're coloring it all in, you can color in different shades of blue. There we go. I wish we could all just sit in a room and color together or paint together. That would be fun, and we'll be able to do that again really soon. So it's just trying to find fun things to fill your time right now. We're also working on our Light in the Forest project, which of course got delayed. We are working on a little mini one that we're going to present online, hopefully in about maybe next week. And we're working on it. My son's helping us edit it down. It's going to be very short, so I won't take too much of your time up, but it will be a fun. Hopefully we can introduce you to some of what we're going to be creating later on in the year when things open up again. And it gives us lots of time to think about what we want to do and the changes we want to make. Okay, so here, whoops, gotta be careful. I want a little dark there. It's okay to go up here dark, but not down there, because I want that to sit on top. And if it's too dark, it won't sit. Now see, I'm going over some of the green with it, and it works because, of course, blue and yellow make green, and so it's okay to overlap here and there. In fact, I'm going to do it right there because that's a little flat anyway. And there. So now I've got, and I'm going to cover that up too with a little blue, because I think that. We'll sit that one back. All right, we are so close. I've been thinking about the background this whole time, thinking maybe a black color, but I have an idea.
Ann Calder says that is just stunning, Holly.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for sticking in. I know it's probably buffering like crazy, and that might be good so that you don't hear my scattered thoughts, and you can only see little bits and pieces of this. That's probably not so bad either. Here, okay, I'm almost done. Here comes some blue up here. I can paint very quickly. This is what I do. If you've been to my shows, I paint live and I've learned how to paint very quickly. It doesn't mean I don't make mistakes, as you can see. But I also hate the thought of you just hanging out there waiting for me to finish this thing. So I'm going to go really quick, and then I'm going to put in what I think the background's going to be very cool. I normally the pale blue would pop up, but I'm going to try something different. And here's a great thing. If you start with light, you can always go dark. But if you start with the dark, it's hard to go in reverse, at least. Well, it's not so much if you're doing color pencils, because you can do a nice white color pencil over top. But with markers or ink, you can't really work in reverse. So you're kind of trapped into, you have to sort of think in reverse. So I'm going to try something different in the background. If I did a black background, there's no way to change. I can't erase any of my work. I can't change what I'm doing. Here I am, almost done. And a little bit here for the blue. I don't want to leak out too much because I have some ideas. And here I am here too. Okay. Are we having some technical difficulties, guys?
No, we're good. Oh, it is.
Okay.
No, it's still going.
Oh, that's my daughter trying to help me out. She's in between studying for her essays and homework. She's got papers and exams and everything, so she's agreed to stand up there and read for me. So
Nanny, aka Sandra Carr, says, I love that you have blue as the background color.
oh, good, because I wasn't sure about that. Well, thanks for that. I wasn't sure if I was going to stick with that. But it does feel like airy in spring, doesn't it? It feels very lighthearted considering it's a dark
And
day.
then Anderson says, Dear Holly, Marina and I, Isabella, are having a great time. Thank you so much for bringing this to us.
Yay! I hope you're coloring too and even making your own art. You know, the other thing I was thinking I could send out is an empty butterfly, and then you guys can download it and you can just fill in your own drawings. So you don't have to be stuck with what I've done, but you can create your own. So we might put one of those up too, because I love to encourage you to create your own art. And anything you have, please send it to me, email it to me, share it. It makes me happy to see what you guys are doing. And I tell you, I get inspired by other people's art. I love to see what you're doing, because we do get stuck in our own little patterns of how we want things to look. Okay, so I've got this big, beautiful butterfly. Looks like you can almost flap off of there. And now I've got to think of what to do with the background. So here's my thought. I am going to take a color, I call it gold, or patina gold, and I am going to try, and it looks kind of like mustard. I don't know if you can see it there. I'm going to bring some water over here, and I'm going to try and blend it, and if worse comes to worse and it doesn't work, then that's okay too. I can always go over it with another color. That's a great thing. Start with your lights and work your way to the darks. So here's some water. I know there's so many things out there online. Don't feel like you have to stay. I'm so happy that any of you just popped in even to look. I would think I was more nervous about doing this than I have been standing on stage with thousands of people watching me, so I'm not quite sure why. This isn't really my comfort zone technology. I'm learning so much, mostly from my husband and my daughter, who I frustrate daily with asking them how to do things. So there, so you see this nice gold? Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pull it up into a paler gold and see if it works with the yellow. Yellow and blue are always gorgeous together, but I don't want it to be just a flat color. So I'm pulling up the lighter into where the butterfly is, just so that I'm not grounding it. I'm actually gonna give it some space to fly here. So I gotta really scrub this stuff around. I'm hoping you can see what I'm doing. It's hard because it is on camera, but you see how I've got this. Now I would never normally do this. This is very outside. I would normally go really dark. And when I'm all done and I let it dry, I can then decide, maybe I would like a a black background. Maybe it doesn't work, but it's worth giving it a shot just to see. So I'm going to put some along the side here. I have to work fairly quickly with background colors. If any of you are silk painters or watercolor artists, when you stop, it stains, and so I've got to keep moving it around. Hoping I can cover up my yellow spot there. I think I've got it almost. Put it under some dark. There we go. And that, yeah, I think there's enough yellow to pick up the blue so that it doesn't look too flat. Here I go, working out the sides. This is when you can make lots of mistakes because you have to work very quickly and you can have a splash zone. In fact, sometimes when I do classes, people splash on each other's paintings. Most of the time, people are generally kind about it. So here he comes around the bend. Here he's coming. I feel like I'm on a full-out speed thing here just to get this done for you so you're not watching too long. I'm going to try a few other pieces. If you watch, I'm going to show some paintings I'm working on sped up really fast, faster than what I'm doing here. It's quite fun to see something evolve because I do work from my imagination. I don't have a lot of time where I have to go and refer to other materials. I can just keep buzzing along. Oh, see, now I want to balance out that side, so I'm going to throw some dark in here too. I'm looking all the time. I'm looking over the whole painting and seeing where else it needs to go. So now I want to kind of maybe the shape of these wings. I'm going to throw in some dark, just so that if there's stains, they're kind of in the shape of the butterfly wings rather than fighting with it. And then I'm going to throw some water over top of this. It's funny, when I paint, I realize how much I squint. I'm not sure why. I do it all the time. It just helps me see the whole painting at one time and the areas where if there's an imbalance. So we're going to move this into here. Coming down the track, coming to the end.
Donna says, this is such a relaxing activity. I am doing a second version of this. Love to have another one.
Oh, yeah, well, we will. I'll be sharing. There'll be lots online for you, and I'll do another one of these. Again, we'll try a whole other image. I'll think of something that we can play with. But in the meantime, there's going to be coloring sheets up there. And I'd love to do one where we even draw together. I'm going to work on that. I've just got to get our Wi-Fi going. I hope this isn't buffering too badly. Does it look like it's still stalling?
The connection is fine right now.
Oh, good. Okay, we're almost done. And you can just see the possibilities. I mean, I would love to take this and just, if I could just see what it would even look like with a black background, I'd love to see that. I know my daughter was saying you could put it in the computer and play that way. I'm so old school, I wouldn't even have thought of that. There, you see how I've got all these like little shapes happening around? Same thing when you color. It doesn't have to be a flat thing because we're human, so when we paint and we color, it's nice to have all these variations, you know, because that's what happens when you're a human and you're making marks and you don't have the computer necessarily smooth everything out. So that's kind of cool, I think. It shows that it's handmade. So there, we've got a nice butterfly, and I think he's ready to almost dry. Do you see anything, Lily, I'm missing? Sometimes I'm caught up in it and I can't see what I've done. Oh, I can fix that little guy right there. I think it's done. Oh, I got a little, I put a little spot in this wing, so I'm just gonna throw a little in there too, just to balance them out. A little in the tip, a little in that tip too, just so that it looks like I did it on purpose. A little bit in there. There, I think he's looking pretty good. I don't know, what do you think of that yellow background?
I like it.
You like that?
Yeah.
Now it's gonna dry lighter. I'm actually air drying it. I probably should throw a little bit in the bottom because it's a little top heavy. So I'm gonna throw some in here too.
Very vintage.
Does it have a vintage look?
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, I think that's good to
Thought.
have some in down there.
So I'll throw some more in here just because this is very weighted up here. So I just gotta balance it out. All right, I think we're gonna take my butterfly and fly away. And thank you all so much for coming. I see you up there. Thanks for coming. And I'm going to air dry it. It looks like it's flying. This is how I actually dry my silk, which is kind of convenient considering it looks like the butterfly's flying away. So good night, everybody. Thank you for coming along. And if you have any pictures of yours, I would love to see them. Please email them to me, share them with me. And if you have any positive messages, please share those too. Thank you. Good night.
Thanks.